Good evening. We call the Hawarden, Iowa City Council to order on Wednesday, April the 13th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. All present are council and staff other than Corey. Corey's on vacation, I believe. If you wish to address the council tonight, you have an opportunity at agenda item number 1C, open business from the community. We do not have any public hearings scheduled for tonight or other short agenda items. Standard agenda item number 1A is approval of the March 23rd, 2022 regular city council meeting minutes. You've had those in your packet since Friday. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Patty. All in favor, please, of the approval of the March 23rd, 2022 regular city council meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Also tonight, we have approval of the April 6th, 2022 planning session council meeting minutes. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Moved
Second.
by Rob. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by John. All in favor then of those meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That also passes 5-0. We move to agenda item number 1B, approval of the claims for payment for today. I'll start to my right with Monty for questions, please. Travis, any questions?
None, thank you.
John?
None, thank you.
Patty?
None.
Rob?
No questions.
Is there a motion for approval of claims for payment?
So move.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Travis. All in favor then of claims for payment, say aye.
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 Those opposed? That again passes 5-0. Now is agenda item number 1C. Anyone wish to address the council? Kathy, you have presence. You don't want to address us, though. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move to the mayor's report. There are many opportunities for knowledge and enjoyment at the Oak Grove through all of their programming. If you go to their website at SiouxCountyParks.org, you can find events for all ages. Also, there are informational events such as the Emerald Ash Board public meeting being held on April the 21st. I know that's of interest to quite a number of our citizens with that here. So please take advantage of all that happens at Oak Grove and the Big Sioux Recreation area. Citywide cleanup, and Travis may talk with this later, will be held May 13th to the 15th. As I always remind folks, this is a great time to get rid of your excess stuff. As the weather gets nicer, please take the time to clean up around your businesses and your homes. Also, please remember that the tree and grass pile are just for that, tree and grass, and not for other things. Seems like people are adding a lot of things to the tree and grass piles. West Sioux has many activities to be a part of, such as soccer, track golf, and golf meets and track meets. Please support our children in their activities. Also, if you wish to volunteer at the local track meets being held here at West Sioux later this month and early in May, please call West Sioux or Steve Rader. Spring is all about getting outside and renewing ourselves and those around us. This quote by Jean Vanier is a great one, I think, for our community. One of the marvelous things about community is that it enables us to welcome and help people in a way we couldn't as individuals. To all that call Hawarden home, my thanks, and let's keep working together to make it better. And lastly, we wish for Katie Anderson from the Ironton Examiner, Hawarden Independent, a great recovery from her medical difficulties. We'll move next to staff reports. We'll start, please, with Jacob for anything from Jacob's point of view.
Nothing new at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. Travis?
After our planning session last Wednesday, I investigated substation transformer lead times. I was shocked to learn that they went from 1 year, now they're 3 years for a lead time. So I've reached out to DGR to begin that process to have them spec it out and do the bid letting as soon as possible. We have a preliminary meeting set up for May 2nd. We'll kind of base the rest of our substation plans working backwards on a tentative ship date once we get those ordered. We'll be planting 4 trees in the park with the elementary school kids for Earth Day, April 26th. As we remove the old and dying trees, I plan to replace them as we go. The electric crew will be going to that public meeting at the Prairie Woods Nature Center on the Emerald Ash Borer. It's next Thursday, April 21st. And it has been, the Emerald Ash Borer has been confirmed in Sioux Center, so it's probably here. We just haven't seen it yet. Got it confirmed. I also had mark your calendars, citywide cleanup, May 13 through 15. And also the household hazardous waste is June 3rd from 1 p.m. to 4 at the street shop. And if anybody doesn't know where that is, it's 717 7th Street or the old fire station.
Would you say June 3rd,
June 3rd, Friday.
Friday? Okay.
Talking with Wanda a little bit, how do they, if the substation is 3 years out, how do they control those costs for 3 years? Or how does that process all work?
They can lock them in. I mean, they're just locked into those prices. I have seen some things where they won't lock in that price. They'll say it's contingent to go up at a certain percentage. So we may see that when the bids come in. You might have a bid price, but it could go up to this certain percentage threshold.
Thanks for staying on that electric project. That's
Yeah, I thought, well, I better check. Maybe they're 2 years out. I was not expecting
It's good to
3.
move forward with it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Travis. Wanda?
As many of you know, Christy Warner has left the city. Her last day was last Friday, so we are advertising for a telecom administrative assistant. Surprisingly, we've had quite a few applicants, so that's been encouraging. If you noticed in your claims, and I thank Patty for this, she asked that we have a claims sorted by, the check sorted by fund, so there was a new report in your claims. Take a look at that, see what your thoughts are on that. I thought it was a nice report.
Thank you. I mean, I've worked with it before.
Had citizens ask about our residential garbage and recycling containers, if there was anything in our ordinances for how long they should be out. So I looked that up, and just as a reference for all of our residential customers, 24 hours in advance they can be out at the curb, and then within 24 hours after the scheduled collection, they need to be, excuse me, need to be placed back. Just a reminder, and especially in this windy weather that we are having, it's difficult not to have those blow all over the street. So I know our citizens have been very diligent about trying to get those off when they can. So just wanted to give a brief summary on our planning meeting from last week. We spent quite a bit of time on high-tech. The council had discussions on the short and long-term plans to improve the high-tech utilities. We are continuing to move forward with our cable channels from the analog system. Ron is waiting for one last receiver for the Turner channels, and that's 8 of our channels, to finish this part of the project. The receiver was to be delivered to us in December, but now is supposed to be shipped this month. We haven't got a confirmation on that ship date yet. Ron is also working to install the amplifiers, which will also increase the internet speeds, along with moving the cable channels from the current analog to SD or HD channels, increasing bandwidth. Target date for completion is early summer. We're also looking at implementing the DOCSIS 3.1 modems and software, which again will increase internet speeds. This is targeted for later this year, although we'll be starting on that hopefully sometime this summer. High-tech customers can anticipate an increase, unfortunately, in their rates this year. Rates were last increased in 2018. The rising cost of cable channels since the last increase has the city absorbing those increases at a loss each month of $18 per customer. The other topics that we talked about last week, the city has received its first installment of the Iowa ARPA, I'm going to call it COVID money, that's not the actual term, but that's what it is, from the state of Iowa. The council has earmarked that. It's an approximately $180,000 for the water tower painting and maintenance that will be done this summer. The second installment of the $180,000 has been earmarked for high-tech. And then we also spent some time on Avenue L project and street improvements. Additional information from DGR Engineering, additional information from DGR Engineering on the use of concrete versus asphalt overlay over an 8-inch granular base for both types of street improvements indicates using concrete with the special assessments would save the city approximately $200,000 versus the asphalt overlay, which we have not used special assessments previously. Staff anticipates bringing the Avenue L project back to the council for approval this fall and hopefully start bidding that process out early next year. This part of the project would only include Avenue L from 10th Street to 20th Street. Travis and Ron and I are also working on, and Jenny, working on the T-Mobile tower lease. That has been up for renewal with T-Mobile. Got the contract with the first draft, and hopefully you will see that in the next, probably not the next council meeting, but the one after that for your approval. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Wanda. Jenny, anything from your point?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay, that's always refreshing for us, we think. Good. Carol?
It's been a busy couple of weeks. I did just return from a summit over in Ames, Iowa for the Iowa Economic Development Authority and the Rural Development, which was absolutely fantastic. It was well worth my time. Was able to connect with quite a few of the people that handled those grants. The grant that I'm working on right now for the Central Parks building to restore it and keep it in our downtown, sounds like we're going to be able to put that one together next week, getting everything cleaned up, so that's awesome. Decoy signs, we're just waiting on the abstract, but that is ready to go. They have their check printed, so that's good news. And we just got a $100 million grant opportunity for, out of Iowa from Kim Reynolds for tourism, bringing people to Iowa. I'm sure some of you have seen this. So I thought maybe I would try to see about a couple projects here in our city that would be able to apply to. I did talk to them at the summit about that, and they were super encouraging about opportunities for us. So I'm going to be pursuing that.
Thank you very much. Council, have any questions for staff with their reports? Or are there any council comments at this point? Hearing none, we'll move on then to other agenda items. Agenda item number 3 would be approval of the fiscal sponsorship. American Legion Two Oaks Post wish to buy some flags. Is that correct, Wanda?
Yes. Patty can probably speak to this better than I can because she's the one that helped them with that.
Okay.
The American Legion asked me to write a grant for them to purchase flags and poles because some of them are in poor repair and they want some for Main Street, and if there's extra then for the city cemetery. So I did write the grant, and it's on here to ask the city to be the fiscal sponsor, which would be required.
Okay.
That's about it.
We've done that in the past. Is there a motion for that approval?
So moved.
Moved by John. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. All in favor of being a fiscal sponsor for the American Legion Two Oaks Post 254, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. A similar agenda item is a fiscal sponsorship for the Hawarden ambulance for the Hawarden Community Foundation. Wanda, they're requesting to do foundation for some equipment.
They're asking to, they've submitted a grant to purchase 10 additional sets of protective gear because we're fortunate enough to have our ambulance squad that has grown over the last few years, so they don't have enough protective gear for each individual EMT. So Jeff has written a grant to the Hawarden Foundation to get 10 sets of additional gear.
So moved.
Okay, there's been a motion by Travis. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Patty. All in favor of that fiscal sponsorship, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes 5-0. Resolution 2022-14, authorizing a payment for a tax incentive for ISMA properties. This is their third year of 5 years, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any questions on that resolution? Is there a motion for that resolution 2022-14?
I make a motion.
Motion by Patty. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Rob. Roll call vote, please, for Resolution 2022-14.
Feldhacker.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Harvey.
Yep.
Clucky.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
On a 5-0 roll call vote, Resolution 2022-14 passes. Agenda item number 6, discussion and/or approval for the Catalyst IT No Before Staff Security Training Contract. Wanda, please.
This item is something that we've talked about before. Catalyst has a partnership with KnowBe4 company that does cybersecurity training. This training is actually a two-part. The first one is monthly scheduled training that goes out to all of our staff that have sign-ons to any of our computers. And the second piece is a random phishing email that is sent out to anybody that has an email on our system. And if they open up the email and then go through the process of clicking the links, it will send them a training piece that they have to complete. And then we'll receive reports on how everybody did on that. Not everybody will be tested on that monthly, but they will get monthly training.
Okay. Is there discussion with this security training contract? Any thoughts from the council?
What, was there like a monthly cost or annual cost? I can't remember. What.
It is a monthly cost. It's $2 per user.
Okay,
So I think we have 35 users.
okay. That's, you know, that's really good because the Know Before, if it's the same one I'm thinking of, well, they were excellent. And the staff learned a great deal from them. So I'd be definitely in favor of that.
Support.
Motion by Patty, is that a motion,
Yes,
Patty?
I will make a motion, yes.
Seconded by Monty, thank you. All in favor then of approval of the Catalyst IT No B4 Staff Security Training Contract, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you for that. Last standard agenda item is discussion and approval of the 2022 Mosquito Control of Iowa contract. Travis or Wanda with that, please.
It's the same contract we've had, we're just up for renewal. There is a price increase, though. They increased it annually from 10,000 to 11,500. I know in wet years, the first couple years, we could really tell. I mean, the citizens were shocked at how well it worked, so
Does work
we
good.
recommend we,
This is a 5-year.
this contract would be a 5-year.
Okay.
How many times do they come through during the summer? Is it 3?
Well, it depends on the rain. They could be here once every 3 weeks on the rainy times. So I don't have a
Other discussion?
This has to be the worst contract I've ever read. I mean, there's no what-ifs in it. We have no control over this at all other than paying the bill.
What kind of items would you like to see in the contract?
You know, I don't know. I guess if I hire somebody to paint my house, I want them to paint the house. You know, these guys can come and go as they please. They can do whatever they want, from, you know, spraying with an airplane to driving around in a tractor like we did 30 years ago. There's nothing here, except for sure as hell pay me. I was amazed at,
That it's weak or something.
oh
They
God,
do,
it's impossible.
they are utilized a lot, I will say that, and they,
I have no problem with that.
No.
I just think there
Yeah.
should, you know, for $11,000, we should have something besides, yeah, we're gonna come.
Yeah, I think in the past they've kind of done it before some of the holidays, a week or so before, which, typically have more people in town then. But I didn't realize how many times they.
yeah, you can call and ask them to come if you're having events and spray those areas.
And that's
I mean,
it.
they're really good, easy to work with, without having things set in the contract. You can call them and
I mean,
they'll show up for those.
I know they monitor the weather, everything,
Yeah, the
everything. They
wind,
do come. They
yeah.
were here a lot last summer. I will give that. They were at my house a lot. But that's a good point, you know, the contract, but I just am very familiar. I know it's used a lot and they come through. That's all I can say with that, about that one.
Is there a motion to approve the mosquito control of Iowa contract?
So moved.
Moved by Travis. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Patty. All in favor of approval of the 2022 mosquito control of Iowa contract, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Shockingly, I vote no.
That was a kind no, Monty.
Point well taken.
We'll get them to Jen, and maybe she can help them with legalities, perhaps. We have no consent agenda items, and it's been a short agenda tonight. We thank the West Sioux students for being here for Mr. Dorhout's government class. If maybe Jen, our city attorney, and maybe Wanda as administrator, if you have time to let's spend a little time with those folks tonight as they're here learning about city government, if they have any questions specifically for your positions and or Carol or any other staff, I would appreciate that. That moves us to our next regular city council meeting being April the 27th. I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
Yep.
Motion by Monty, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
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 Those opposed? City council's adjourned.
Kind of a handshake agreement.
It's loose. I know what they're using.
Potatoes up yet?
No, they're not even planted yet.
Oh,
They can't do that.
Early, so. Still, yeah.